my heart is set on the systems of our life, because when you say a lot of us don't even notice that we need a system, that was me. Because especially what we call, I'll say, watching my parents survive, and we go by the phrase by saying, okay, my mom did it this way, so what makes me think I need to do it differently? When we see that it works for someone else, regardless of the struggle that they had to do it with, we think that, okay, we have to struggle too. But no, it's a way to thrive and get the same results and not just survive.
Hey there, mompreneurs. Welcome back to the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast, where we talk about everything business and motherhood minus the perfectionism. And I'm your host, Angela Mashuli. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I am excited, as I am every time I publish a podcast, to bring you the conversation I have today with Tyshon Phillips. She's an online business manager who helps moms regain time and increase profits by creating systems in their businesses. So today's interview is so well timed, just because hopefully, like me, just finding the time to think about the goals and intentions that I want to set for the year ahead. And there were so many little nuggets of information that I thought were awesome. I had the time and created a list of takeaways at the end. So stay tuned for that little recap at the end. And, as mompreneurs, we just have so much more to juggle than the average entrepreneur, which it's not easy, no matter who you are as an entrepreneur. But just juggling it all and learning how to filter out the noise and finding your passion and your why. It's a really great conversation that talks about way more than just systems. But before I share that interview, I just wanted to ask you for a quick favor. If this podcast resonates with you, if you have listened to one or more podcast episodes, I would so appreciate you leaving a review for the podcast, especially on Apple Podcasts. It helps other mompreneurs find the show, and if it resonated with you, likely it would help someone else. So it's totally free. I would so appreciate the time that it would take to just leave us a quick review, an honest review. And it helps me determine whether or not I'm creating content that's resonating. So much goes into making the show, from coordinating interviews to creating questions, editing, publishing, social media posts, all those things. So it really is wonderful to get some feedback from reviews. So at the same time, you can also subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. I have another episode coming up next week, my last one for 2022. This is my first year of the podcast. I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling a little sentimental, but full of gratitude. And so glad I just took the jump to start a podcast and had so many amazing conversations that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So I'm definitely already thinking about that podcast episode and just feeling overwhelmed with a lot of gratitude. So I hope you will join me for that episode. And it is also totally free to subscribe to the show so you don't miss a notification that I have published a new episode. And thank you so much for your time. I know it's a busy season and we all have so much on our to-do list. So I hope this episode serves as a little bit of sunshine and in your day where you can connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs. And without further ado, here is my conversation with Tyshon Phillips, CEO and founder of Golden Admin. On today's episode of the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast, I am so excited to have Tyshon Phillips, who is the CEO and founder of Golden Admin. And this is going to be a great conversation. And just like with, it seems like everybody that I have a conversation with, it's like comes from a place where I know I need to improve in my business. So I love your mission on how you want to help mompreneurs improve their businesses by incorporating business or systems. So welcome to the podcast and tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Having me.
Yeah.
Well, I am an online business manager and I serve mompreneurs because I help them implement systems in their back end, just as we're just discussing, help them systemize their sanity so they can be able to show up as their greatest self in their business and help more profits that way. And then without doubling their time, and they can use that to focus more on their family and take care of themselves, which is a lot of things that a lot of times we forget about, especially when it comes to being a mom. Now we have a second baby, which is our business, and we forget to, okay, you also have to take care of the person who's running all of this. So that's where I come in, why I just help us implement those systems.
I love that. And I think a lot of us don't even understand that we need a system. And we were talking
Yes.
earlier about how people think they have a system, but they don't. So, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I'm not even going to touch on the tech end of it yet
Right.
because I am a geek when it comes to that. But my heart is set on the systems of our life, because when you say a lot of us don't even notice that we need a system, that was me. Because especially what we call, I'll say, watching my parents survive, and we go by the phrase by saying, okay, my mom did it this way, so what makes me think I need to do it differently? When we see that it works for someone else, regardless of the struggle that they had to do it with, we think that, okay, we have to struggle too. But no, it's a way to thrive and get the same results and not just survive, right? So first we have to focus on our bigger picture, as far as what's your why. Like, what do you want your life to look like? Not what you know you can do, not what you know your parents did, not what you know what people told you to do. What do you want your life to look like? And think outside of your surroundings. So we get stuck as far as what we can see with our eyes, and then you have to think about, okay, where's your heart telling you to go? So you'll hear me say that a lot as well, follow your heart. And that's what got me. I was a rebel growing up. Like, I was very, but what some would call hard headed, but I think it served me great, because if someone tells me I can't do it, I always wanted to prove them wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
I always found a way to make it happen. And because I'm going against what someone is telling me to do, now I have to really make it work. So I have to create my own system to get to that result. So I always start with the why, and then just figure out how I'm going to do this. Right. That's where the
Right.
system comes into play. So if I say, I want to lose, it's a perfect example, because I'm also the first vegan in my family. And
Oh, okay.
everyone in my family was telling me, oh no, you can't do that, you need this, and blah blah blah. So we have to understand not to listen to the people who uh aren't where we want to be, right? If someone is not, if you're not willing to trade places with that person, they don't take their advice. So being that I'm the first vegan in my family, I'm not going to listen to my family when it comes down to the risk of going vegan, right? You're going to
Yeah.
reach out and talk to the professionals. So once you have that in your heart and you understand that that idea is crazy, be crazy enough to follow that, and then just create a system behind it. You're going to find someone to, all it took for me is to find one other person who was vegan. I'm like, oh, so it is possible. And then from that one person, I can see what they're doing, see what's working, led me to more other people. So now I have a whole community of people, vegan people, and it's like a whole new world that I didn't even know existed. So you just have to
Uh-huh.
step out of your comfort zone and
Mm-hmm.
change your surroundings, change your mindset.
That is probably one of the most important things that I think. I think all entrepreneurs tend to think outside the box and think
Mm-hmm.
differently. And we constantly have people who have their own limiting beliefs that kind of shed their light on us and give us their opinions from their own
Yes.
lens. So I think that that is, even though we're talking about systems, absolutely, if you have to learn who to take advice from and who not to take advice from. Who to listen
Yeah.
to and who not to. And that is like definitely a takeaway from this interview too, because yeah, if you don't want to trade shoes with them,
Right. And I really had
right.
to learn that. Like it took for me to be around more successful people. Like
Mm-hmm.
before I quit my job as an operations manager,
Mm-hmm.
I knew I didn't want to continue working. I know I eventually wanted to branch off into my own business. So when I made that decision in my head, I don't make decisions like out of anger or whatever. I like to really make rational decisions. So
Mm-hmm.
I really thought it out and I wanted to learn as much as possible because I really respected what it was on. I was working for a diabetic supply company and I
Mm-hmm.
know that they was building their business from the ground up. So I really respected the hustle. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, as crazy as it is right now, let me at least learn and take what I want to take from it. Right. So I would sit there and like really pay attention to how people would react it. And a lot of times I would speak out of ignorance as far as, okay, I'm not a business owner. So I would really start to speak up and tell them how to run their business. And then a lot of times they would like hear me. Sometimes they'll just stop responding. Right. So, um, because I intentionally put myself in a position where I wanted to learn as possible, I didn't take it personal. I just thought, okay, why? Why do they don't respond at certain things when I say I'm like, okay, maybe it's because I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe it's because I'm just talking. Maybe because they know that I'm wrong and it's not worth going back and forth. And I learned that when someone has their mind made up about a certain situation, whether they know what they're talking about or not, a lot of times there's no convincing them. So sometimes the best response is no response. And that was a great takeaway that I got from that experience. Like,
Oh yeah. Yep, I definitely can relate to that story and other entrepreneurs. Everybody's on
yeah,
their own path, and
right.
everybody's going to have their own limiting beliefs or experiences that they're just not going to see things the way you do, or they just
Right.
haven't opened their mind to new concepts and a higher level of consciousness. And that's fine.
Yes.
But you can learn as much from how someone doesn't do it well
Yes.
as
Which is
how
very
someone
important.
does it well. Yes, absolutely. No, that's so why don't you tell us about what inspired you? I think you kind of hinted at what your inspiration was for starting your own business, but what did that look like?
So that was literally just following my heart when I actually decided to actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was on my head. Of course, I wanted the freedom. I wanted to make my own
Right.
money. I didn't want to put all of my eggs in one basket. Blah blah blah. Yes, all of that. This is the usual story. However, when I know I needed to quit my job as an operations manager.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have a plan B. But I got to a point one day, I literally just woke up and said, I need to make a move right now. And I need to
Mm-hmm.
be okay with not having a plan B. And the reason for that was because I needed to be able to make my next move with a clear head. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was surrounded by so much chaos at that moment. So
Mm-hmm.
once officially left, I took 2 weeks off of just doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then I jumped back into it saying, okay, now it's time for me to look for a job, do what I usually do.
Right.
And I literally started feeling sick. Like it just wasn't right. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
to listen to my body, which I had learned how to do. Like over the years, I like really been paying attention to how my body reacts to certain things, not
Mm-hmm.
just food, like every single thing. I pay attention to
Mm-hmm.
it, and my body was not responding to that. So I followed my heart and said, okay, all of this energy that you're about to do,
Yeah.
putting into looking for a job, do that and start your
Mm-hmm.
business. just start. Start. And of course, in the beginning, I told myself crazy things. Okay, I'm going to do this all in for 3 months and blah, blah, blah. That wasn't realistic. But I'm glad I just started. And it did take me a while to, not necessarily a while, just a few months in, I realized that I needed to help mompreneurs, because just from me starting, I started getting a lot of inquiries about, okay, how did you start? How did you get to that point? How did you get to, I literally only made two steps. And then a lot of my friends or previous coworkers was starting to come to me saying, how did you do that? How did you do that? I'm like, I didn't even do nothing. At that point, I didn't even make no money in my business yet, but they wanted to know how to get there where I was. So I'm like, wow, I really didn't notice like how we think that it's so much when it's not. Like it's not. It's like literally that's the hardest but easiest part at the same time. All you have to do is start. So I said, okay, I want to help these moms see that this is possible. Like I thought back to everything that I went through, how I elevated in my career as far as like jumping from a customer service rep. And then I went from a supervisor here to operations manager. And I was like, I did all of that just from literally just doing my job. And then they would come up to me and say, hey, I think you'll be good at this. Want to do it? Okay, I feel like I'm already doing it anyway. So, okay. So I really want moms to see that because, why? Because when you're talking about passing down the limiting beliefs, we unintentionally do that to our kids. When our kids come to us and say, hey, I want to be whatever it is, we automatically would start putting our limiting beliefs on them. And that's something that I had to break out of myself. So I really want to see our next generation like be different from us, see them growing up thriving and not doing the same thing that we're doing as far as repeating our parents as far as what they had to do to survive. So I'm dedicating my services to mompreneurs for that reason, so they can show that their kids that this is also possible. And whatever we figure out as far as what systemizing your sanity look like, then that's when all of the tech will come in place to just make it a little bit more easier for you. But the hard part is just starting. Once we get over that hump, then we'll be able to, you'll see that it's possible. And that's another thing. Once you see how it looks on the other side of one hump, the next hump don't seem that scary, even if it is a little bit taller. It won't look that scary. So it's like, just get out there and do it. Just go.
That story sounds like almost identical to my story and why I started this podcast. It's like eerily the same. Like I just made a few steps and people are like, how do you do this? And, like I have a travel business and, I just made a few steps and people, I think they just think like that it is audacious to think that you can start a business and go out and do your own thing. And how do you even think that you're worthy of that or it's possible? That's for everybody else. And that's exactly why I started this podcast. I have my travel business. I didn't even see this podcast as like something that was in my future, but I got so many questions, and like you, I learned I've always had very empathic senses and I knew when I needed to make a shift, and I knew I needed to start this podcast.
Yes. And just went for it.
Yeah. So I won a scholarship and I just felt compelled to do it. And here we are. Nothing special, I mean, it was just that I think you and I gave ourselves permission somewhere along the way to just go for it. Even though we didn't have it all figured out or like
it's just trusting your gut and like like I lived so I allowed myself doubt to like take control for so long. That's how I end up staying in a 9-to-5 for so long, like saying, oh, I need this and I need that. And even when I made this decision, so many people were telling me, don't just jump out. Don't just leave your job. Don't do that. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like literally out of
Yeah.
my company, it was probably only one person who was like, oh, congratulations. Like, just like, even without a plan, one person said, good for you for making that move. Like
Right.
everyone else was like, hold on, what are you doing? Like, what's your plan B? Like, what? Don't do this. Don't quit your job. No, don't like,
Right. Yeah.
uh,
I interviewed somebody who had a lifelong friend no longer be her friend because she thought she was so crazy for quitting her job and starting a coaching business, and because she was very close to retirement, and she now makes more than double what she
mhm,
did before in her 9 to 5, and she
right.
works less, is happier, looks like $1 million, is so happy. And that's again, like, you're a perfect example. Like, it's just like, I am so glad that we're having this conversation so we can just help people understand that it's
Yeah.
possible.
And it's funny, the same people who would tell us not to go for it are the
Yeah.
same people who complain about their life every day.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it was so crazy, like just listening to them,
Yes.
like, you was literally just complaining about this job yesterday. Now you're telling me not
Right.
to quit. Like,
Right.
it's the same, like if you want different results, you have to do something different. It's like and I was
Right.
that person. I used to complain about certain things and then quickly would tell myself, but I'm grateful to have a job. I'm grateful for
Right.
this. I'm grateful I can pay
Right.
the bills. And then I think we confuse that with
Mm-hmm.
saying that you don't deserve to complain because there's people out there who don't have a job and who are struggling
Right.
to get here and there. So I did feel ungrateful when I got to the point where I would complain about one little thing, even if it was, okay, we ran out of creamer. How could this place run out of creamer? So it's like I didn't feel like I could complain. So I had to
Yeah.
get to the point where, okay, I'm not complaining anymore. I'm literally
Mm-hmm.
just gonna say, okay, follow my intuition. What am I supposed to do? Like,
Right.
focus on the solution and not the problem. And that's how I just pushed to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how you have to do it. I mean, it's like, it's almost like a physical reaction where you
Mm-hmm.
just can't even ignore it. You're pushed to go in a certain direction. You don't know why, you don't know how to work it all out,
Mm-hmm.
but you just know it's, a feeling that it's something you have to do. And I encourage moms all the time, if you try to ignore it, it's just going to get louder.
Yeah,
So,
or even worse, COVID, something like COVID is gonna like
right.
come and like force you to change, which is really when
Right.
a lot of things twisted for me. When COVID hit, that's when I really
Right.
changed a lot. Like, oh my gosh, now I have to do this. And it felt good to have that
Right.
excuse. Like it felt good
Right.
to be able to say no and use COVID as an excuse.
Right.
Like I ran with that for a while. Like, no, I can't
Right.
come hang out with you because no, coronavirus. Like, so it really gave me some time to sit and focus with myself, which is like, I really needed that. And I had to like really do things on my own, especially with home. I also homeschool my daughter,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
another first with that. And when I was forced to do it during
hmm.
coronavirus, I was like, this is so much better. Like I'm never going back. And then when they started letting the kids go back in school, people again was looking at me crazy, like, oh, she
Hmm.
needs to be social. She need to do this. I'm like, why do you just assume that
Yep.
she's not social just because homeschool doesn't mean like I keep her in a home. So I had to get to that point where
You're
I
in the
even stopped
homeschool
explaining.
dungeon.
Yeah. But again, when people speak out of ignorance, it's like that's just what we hear a lot. Like we grew up on that. So everyone who's familiar with public school, of course, they're going to talk about the negatives they hear about homeschool.
Oh yeah, and you're not the first mompreneur that I've talked to who has decided to not only quit their day job but also homeschool their children at the same time.
Yes.
It's like it was really an opportunity for us to re-examine everything.
Yes, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, really. Um, so back to the systems, how do you think not implementing systems in your business can cost you?
So it's you. It's this phrase that I love. Like either you control the day or the day will control you.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you wake up and you have no intention set on what you want to accomplish or what you want to do with yourself, then you're just
Mm-hmm.
going to go with the flow, and that's the day controlling you. So you might have a certain routine of being busy and not getting anything accomplished,
Yeah.
but
Not
until you
guilty.
take control,
No.
until you take control of that, then
Uh-huh.
you will continue be the outcome of your situation that you continue to put yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
So until we wake up and realize, hey, I have control over this, and we set our goal and don't leave any excuse behind it, like set your goal and leave out the but. For example, I want
Right.
to lose weight, but stop right there, because now you're just throwing your goal in the trash. So if
Mm-hmm.
you say I want to lose weight, so I'm going to do this, this, and that. That's you
Mm-hmm.
creating your system. And no, I'm sorry, that plus the commitment to it, that's you creating
Mm-hmm.
your system compared to just going with the flow. So
Right.
the worst thing about not having a system in place is operating out of chaos, meaning you just go out there, you don't understand what's going to happen, you don't understand what you want to happen, and you just fill in with the rest of the crowd and continue to live the life that you don't want. You're letting everyone else control your life for you. You're working the job that your parents told you you had to do. Now you, even if you don't want to, now you go apply for a job, do all of this, get dressed up for the interview and make yourself pretty and do this and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to literally sit there and complain every day and not be happy compared to just doing what you want to do.
Right.
Even with business owners, I'm starting to notice that a lot of business owners would run their own business, but they still would turn it into the job that they escape from, or they're trying to escape from, because we're so bent on what we think, the way that we think it should be. No, take back control, generate a system that aligns with your goals. Now you're on the way to the life, to live the life that you desire for yourself compared to the life that everyone else built for you.
Oh, yeah. And I think that that's so easy, even if you're not even, well, I think part of it is because our subconscious runs so much of what we do. It's just
Mhm.
what we know.
Yes,
And I find myself falling into that trap myself
we
sometimes.
all do. We all
Yeah, and
do.
it's like you got to just kind of realize it and go, okay, wait a minute, let's get back on track. Let's just be more focused and what is it that, I want to achieve. So, I mean, the cost of not implementing systems, it's pretty high. I
Yes,
mean,
operating, you're just living a chaotic life. And the worst part about living a chaotic life without the systems is you're okay with it. Like you're settled in it. Even if you complain every day, you're
yeah,
still committed to it. Like you're committed
right.
to that chaos.
Well, it's like, I've heard over and over because I'm constantly, you have to make an effort to change any habit that's not serving you
Mm-hmm.
because, we always revert back to comfort because that's what we know, and
Right.
you know, I think that one of the first things you have to understand is that our brains are literally addicted to chaos. If that's the type of world that you come from or you find yourself in,
Mm-hmm.
and, just being mindful about that can really be the first step. It's
Yes,
like, you know,
yes, I'm glad you said that. I definitely agree, because even as you just said, I am a very systematic person. Every single thing that I do, that's how I got
mhm,
into the tech world, because I always
right.
wanted to find a way to do things easier instead of working harder.
Hmm.
So, excuse me, everything that I do, I have a system behind it, but
Right.
it's very, very important to realize when something is not aligned. So
Hmm.
you can have a system in place, and then something changes that's out of your control. You have to be able to identify that and
Yeah.
adjust your system to go according to. For example, when the time change and then we went into a new season,
Yes.
things just changed for me, and I didn't
Yeah.
even like expect it to happen, but
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that it was something was off. So I'm like, okay,
Absolutely.
this schedule that I'm working is not working. So I need
Mm-hmm.
to take a step back and realign it. And now I'm just getting back into the groove of, okay, instead of doing yoga early in the morning, I do it in the middle of the day because the sun is out. And now I get to get that extra boost of energy. So now I'm understanding like how to just go according to what I can't control. So people think that when I say system, it's like you having control of everything and everything is perfect. Like, no,
Oh,
that's not what it is. It's literally just like creating healthy habits that's aligned with the goals that you have for your life and not just one aspect of it. Like looking at your business and basing your
right.
life around your business goals, which is just okay, just to make more money. No, that's not what it's about. It's really literally just creating healthy habits for your life.
I think that that's a really important point that one, a system is not going to give you control of everything. It's more like a
Mm-hmm.
framework to work within. And even as things change as moms, which they always are, our kids change age, their school changes, the seasons change,
Mm-hmm.
everything is constantly in flux. It really.
Right.
So, I mean, that's great to purposely think about a system as a way to be able to function no matter what your schedule needs to be. That,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think that that's a really important way to look at it. And I don't think I've looked at it that way before. So I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Um, so, one of my next questions was going to be what are some of the mindset shifts that we need to make as mompreneurs to be open more to incorporating systems? Because I know just from myself, I think all of us have a hard time visualizing or just trusting something we don't know how much it's going to improve our lives.
um, I want to say you regardless, you can't see it, right? You can't see the
Right,
future. So
right.
if you have to pick something, why not
Mhm.
pick what you want to happen? Why not why not choose?
Right,
If you have to pick something to believe in, like
right.
why not believe that you have that thought in your head for a reason? So what I was just saying as far as we would say a goal and then
Hmm.
immediately dismiss it when we say but,
Right,
why would you even include that but if you don't know what's going to happen? Just
right.
be dramatic about your goals and say, okay, I want to be president of the United States, even if you don't know anything about politics or whatever. Like, because just setting that
Yeah,
goal, you will, it's amazing how things just fall in place just from me saying, I want to do something or me thinking
right,
differently. Like, all it takes for
right.
me is just to like see one person do it and be like, oh my gosh, that's a thing. Or a lot of times like I'm sure this probably happened to you before where you just would say something out loud or think of something crazy
Oh,
and
yes.
then maybe the next few days or something you would either read something or meet someone
Oh, yeah.
who like resonates with what you was thinking. You're like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I was just thinking about that. So
Right.
it's like the universe is listening once you put it out there.
Hmm.
Well, once you put it out there, then trust me, something is going to come and like be confirmation that you're on the right track. You just have to believe that. Like,
Hmm.
don't let your self doubt take control. Just
Right,
do the unthinkable and believe
right,
that. Just like we did with Santa Claus, like
right.
we believe Santa
Exactly.
Claus because it makes so much sense because this happened. Santa Claus has to be real. We have gifts under the tree. We have this, even though you never saw it, even
Right,
though like it's certain things that made it seem possible.
right.
Okay, let your goal be a Santa Claus. Like
Right.
make it real, and then
Yes.
other things will fall in place. And that's how I like to look at it. All you have to do is
Right.
really just believe that you can
Right.
and trust that it's possible, regardless of what anyone else is doing. Just once you have the
Think
why, that's it.
Yeah, I think we need to like create the business fairy or something that's going to come visit
Yes.
you and bring you systems.
I think that's me. My daughter told me the other day, what did she said? A hippie mermaid or something like me. And I did think of like a fairy mermaid when she said that, because that was my first time
Right.
hearing that. Like she keeps calling me hippie, but yes, I can definitely be a business fairy.
That's yeah. I mean, setting, I think, we get into being entrepreneurs many times
Mhm.
because we just have this feeling, eh, you know, and we don't realize that we're setting the course, just like you said.
Right.
And we aren't comfortable with, what do you mean I can be the director? I can be like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Because we are for so long taught so many things, especially as girls, be good, be nice, we're
Yes.
set into all of these patterns that when you start stripping them away, it's like it really gets to the heart of a lot of beliefs that we've held for a long time and that we have to let go of. Um, so so, given that idea, what are some of the transformations that you've seen people go through by implementing your systems and your approach to helping them get on track and get focused in their business?
Just pretty much being able to attain their goals in a more realistic manner. Like we tend to overcomplicate things. Like
Oh, yeah.
just from me, for example, someone not understanding how much money they're spending or their
Yeah.
return on investment, and I would literally just ask maybe 3 questions and put it in a spreadsheet, and they
Mhm.
look at it and be like, oh my gosh, I've been trying to figure this out for years, and now I understand where I should invest more money. And and I would look at them
Right.
like, how was that so hard for you? But now I really understand, like, because if you are trying to figure out something and you have everything going around your head like this,
Right.
and you don't understand, like, you have the information, you just can't put it together, like put the puzzle pieces together to be able to
Yeah.
see the whole picture. Now you can be able to make informed decisions about your next move for your business, like to see as far as
Mhm.
where you should invest the most time, money, attention,
Right.
and to be able to grow your business. And I think that's the greatest aspect of like having the systems in place that where I come into place, because being able to see that bigger picture from a different perspective really helps you like make that next move. And now you can be able to scale with ease, because not knowing what you're working with is like you're really just growing more chaos in your business and
Right.
making more of a mess. So
Or yeah, or at the very least, you're just spinning your wheels.
and not getting anywhere. So it's like
Right.
just being able to see that, I think that's the greatest feedback I
Mhm.
got. Just like saying, oh, now I can breathe better. Like that's why I
Right.
always talk about breathing better and inhaling more profits, because that's
Mhm.
literally the results I saw. Like once you are able to see that, you can really just stop holding your breath. Like, okay, you can breathe
Right.
now. Go ahead. And
Right.
now, once you're able to breathe, automatically you're going to start inhaling more profits, because you don't have to focus on
Right.
being in so many different places at once.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that really gets to the heart of other things. One, we expect work to have to be hard. And
Yes.
we
Oh my gosh.
bring that
Hustle.
mindset to our businesses. Like, this has to be difficult, and I have to work 20 hours a day, and I have to, like, blood, sweat, and tears. And I have to earn it by working every hour of the day. And I have to, you know,
That's
and I
such a
have to
crazy
do it
thing.
myself. Like,
Yes, that all came up with our upbringing. Like you have to hustle, 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 and
mhm.
it's like a part of me gets it,
Mhm.
because it's like
Yeah.
a lot of it does teach you, but I think
Mhm.
where we messed up when we take that and say, okay, that's all it is. I do believe in like it's some hustling required when it comes to running a
Sure.
business, especially when starting out. But
Mm-hmm.
the hustling is to get you to the other side of it. Like you hustle to work smart. Once you
Mm-hmm.
hustle and figure out what works,
Mm-hmm.
automate that, systemize that.
Right.
And so you
Mm-hmm.
can step away and say, okay, I created that. I did that. Now I'm gonna watch it work without me. Like that's where
Right.
I feel like the hustle comes in place and
Right.
the I need to do it myself. Like, no, we have too many robots to
Right.
to train them to do that. And I think that's
Yeah.
really where it comes into place. And I posted this recently about one of my previous managers saying that we need to learn how to do something. I forgot what it was, but like he used robots as an example. Like, oh, what are you going to do when all the robots start taking a job? So I'm like, okay, train the robots, like learn to control the
Right.
robots. Like that's where I
Exactly.
come in place. I'm all with it. Like I want to encourage the robots to continue to teach them how to do this job. It's like
Right.
the fact that we have self checkout now compared to like we don't have to hire an actual human being there. I mean I don't like doing self checkout. I don't
Yeah.
like being on the other side of it, but like
Right.
I think we can utilize that to figure out a way to make it more enjoyable for the customer, something like that. Like
Right.
don't go against it, just go with it and learn how to be a part of it.
Right.
That's how I feel. But
Right.
yeah, it's like again, we don't have to do the same things that we did to survive. It's so many different ways to thrive out here.
Right. Right. So we've talked about lots of limiting beliefs that moms bring to their businesses and you see them show up. What are some of the obstacles that you kind of had to face for yourself? Because, I mean, it sounds like you do some really incredible things for other people, but I want moms to be able to identify and feel like the beliefs that they have that are holding them back are universal.
Yeah.
Everybody has them. So what are some of the beliefs that you kind of encountered and how did you kind of turn around to keep going?
I would say definitely with starting a business, you have to start in order to make it perfect. Like you
Right.
there's no right moment to start. You just have to
Right.
start.
Right.
Instead of my thing that was holding me back, saying that okay, I'm going to wait until I grow my followers to do this. I'm going to wait until that. No, you have to do it and then wait. Like then watch it grow. Because if I don't post my first video. Like before I started doing lives, I would say I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna go live because no one's gonna watch it. But if I don't go live, then no one would definitely see me. So
Right.
so I had to like just learn to put myself out there. And now
Mm-hmm.
I increase my chances of being seen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like find a way. I wouldn't say like just do it as far as being uncomfortable, but don't let the fear hold you back of like not starting. Right, because that's the only way you're going to be seen. And making excuses as far as the family life, saying I can never run a business because I'm too busy taking care of my family. I'm too busy. Like me,
Right.
I'm a single mom, so I'm like, okay, how am I going to focus? And when I decided, I was still like homeschooling at the time, so I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it'll be selfish of me to try to focus on the business and homeschool her at the same time. And then once I made the decision to do it and include the kids, that was a game changer with
Yeah.
me. Include your kids, not to
Mm-hmm.
say make your kids work in your business, but
Mm-hmm.
when you get your goals together,
Mm-hmm.
communicate that with your kids so they understand that this is the life that I'm trying to build for us, and let's
Mm-hmm.
work together to make this happen. Ask your kids what
Mm-hmm.
their goals are so you all can work together to make it
Right.
happen, compared to like putting everything on your shoulders and
Right.
then just like dragging your kids along. But once you
Mm-hmm.
include your kids, it really helps. And then together, I mean, our kids are so smart.
Oh yeah.
So together you can come up with ways to make it happen. So once
Mhm.
you have that why in your heart, don't let any other excuses hold you back from like pursuing it. Trust me, just keep going and it will happen. Everything will fall in place.
Right. And I hear that so often that I think the happiest moms kind of definitely do incorporate their children and their family in their businesses. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just because that's why I love the term mompreneurs, because
Mm-hmm.
we cannot separate the fact that we're mothers. I mean, it's
Right.
just it's
Right.
such an important job. And, at the end of the day, if I had to choose, I would have to choose to be a mom over an entrepreneur, but you don't have to choose. And,
Exactly.
but, yeah, I mean, all of those things, yeah, I think people see someone who starts a business and thinks, oh, they're fearless, or they don't have any of those thoughts too. We do, we just keep going despite them. You just keep going.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just listening to Michelle Obama, and she was saying how she also had limiting beliefs,
Yeah,
right? But she don't like just disregard it. It's like she understands that that's another person inside of her, and
right,
it's like she pretty much welcomes it and like
right,
create a relationship with it with
right,
that limited belief person in her head. I'm like, I
right.
think that is so beautiful because I used to be that person to like just try to run from my problems until I just
Hmm.
run into them in a different form.
Oh
like,
yeah,
like I would ignore my mom for something, and now my boss is like a mother figure who's also getting on my nerves just as much just as much as my mom. So once I saw that connection, I'm like, okay, I have to learn how to deal with it, or I'm just going to keep running into it. So I
hmm,
love that we can like pretty much welcome that and also
right,
just learn to deal with it because it's worse when you try to ignore it. It's so
right.
much worse.
Not that it's always immediate.
Yeah.
Like I will have those moments and I'm like, and then it might take me a day or two to realize, okay,
Yeah,
I have
that's
to.
where journaling come in place because sometimes
Mhm,
I'll have to write it out or even record myself if I don't have an actual notebook in front of me. I'll
mhm,
literally be talking to myself and be like, okay, right now today, this is how I'm feeling. What should we
mhm.
do? Like I'll be talking to myself as I'm waiting for somebody, like I'm waiting for a response, and in a weird kind of way,
Yeah.
it works like.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just did a post about limiting, letting your ego take control. And, we say such terrible things to ourselves that we would
Mhm.
never say to like the people that we care about most, but we freely trash talk ourselves all the time.
Yes.
And one of the techniques that you can do to get rid of that is to just say it out loud. So I think that that's
Mhm.
like a really smart, I mean, it just sounds like I find this with the most successful entrepreneurs is that it sounds like you're taking in information and you're processing it and thinking about it and how can I do this better and be better. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what you're just constantly in this mode of trying to pivot, I mean,
Yes.
we're just okay, let's do this and do that. And, people don't think that they're up for the challenge or they don't want that challenge. But at the end of the day, I know for myself, it makes me a better person that I started this journey. Um, it's like, can you imagine your life had you not started your business and you were still in the 9 to 5?
Yeah, I would have. I mean, it's sad to say, but I definitely would have been in a much worse mental state than I am
Yeah.
now because I was fighting the voices in my head that was telling me to do different, and I kept making excuses as to why I couldn't do different, why I needed to work to continue to make money to provide for my family, even though this situation is making it worse for my family, because I'm investing all of my time here that I'm too drained to come home and enjoy my daughter. Like, it was literally days where I was taking her to work with me over the weekend. That's where we would spend most of our weekends. So it's like I became that mom, like, okay, I'm just gonna come here. We had a TV and this is gonna be fun for her. I just let her sit and watch TV while I sit here and sweat through all this mail. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna let her do it with me. So now she's working with me. So it's like we don't realize that our why, which is mostly our kids, we are making up excuses to be stuck in the chaos and commit to that. But it's not connecting to our why at all. Like, how is working a 9 to 5, or in my case, it was like a 9 to 9. How is this really benefiting my daughter? So I would have definitely been teaching her to do that same thing. And I'm so glad that now that once I quit my job, I started going to different homeschool groups, and now I found an amazing school for her where now they teach her about entrepreneurship, and they teach her so many different amazing things where she come home and teaches me. So it's like I definitely wouldn't have met the people that I met. I would have still been surrounding myself with no growth at all. So I wouldn't have been getting nowhere. So I'm so glad I just made that move and started a business. And now I get to surround myself with other like-minded people, so many different mentors, and it's just so amazing for both me and my daughter.
I love that. This interview has had so many pieces of great information and so many great little tidbits that anybody could take away and use on their business. But if there was like one or a few things that you just really want to leave with somebody who's listening to this podcast as a mom or any entrepreneur who is not sure about taking the next step or is feeling stuck in their business, or, what takeaway would you want to share with them to help them keep going?
For one, definitely start with your why. Start with your why and really buckle down on that. And if you feel like you have to do something, then ask yourself why again. Like, I have to go to this job because of this. Why? Because I need to make money. Why? Why do you need to make money? Because I need to be able to do this. Or like breaking it all the way down eliminates a lot of those reasons that you feel like you have to do something. And then once you eliminate that, then you really get to your heart of it. So start with that. Once you narrow down to all those whys, then you can put your heart there, and then figure out how to support that vision and continue doing it, even if it's not right in front of you. So let your mind take the lead. Let your heart take the lead. Don't just go by what you see with your eye. Just as long as you have it in your heart, it's there for a reason.
Oh yeah.
And take that, put it into a pretty picture, whatever it looks like to you, and put it somewhere where you can continue to be reminded of that every single day. And then the hows will start to fall in place, and continue to revisit that so you can understand, okay, how am I going to make this happen? This is how we build systems around everything that we do. So that's what I would say. Like, if you know you need to change something, then, and you don't know how, just start with the why, and the how will come.
That's yep. I've said some of those same exact words myself. So yes, I'm just like nodding my head for people just listening. I was like, yes.
Yeah, because what's the alternative of not doing it? Like, you can either figure out a way to move forward, or you're just gonna literally be stuck in the same place. So why not just move forward? And even
Right.
if you don't know what direction is, go somewhere and you'll figure out
Right.
that is, if you know that is wrong, now you know you need to go the other way, but at least you
Right.
know now.
Well,
So
I mean, I think people just get stuck in that they find an identity, and I've done a podcast episode on identity because I had an identity crisis when I stepped away from my 9 to 5, and
mhm.
um, you know, we become our situation.
So true.
And it's, you know, to think outside of that and all the possibilities that exist beyond that is scary, but it is there.
Yeah.
And once you see it, you're just going to kick yourself and really wish that you had seen it sooner. So why not do it now?
Yeah, fear is good. Like I'm really
Right.
learning to embrace it. Like I
Right.
actually get excited when I start to get nervous or get that fear
Mm-hmm.
creeping in, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, this is happening.
Right.
Especially like I was just sharing something with the girls in my community that I started to feel like everything started to feel like it was so hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought
Mm-hmm.
about it. I'm like, I'm almost to the finish line. I can feel it because
Yeah.
right now everything feels so hard. Like, so it's like
That's
usually
a relief.
when you're almost there, that's when you give up. But think about it, if
Yeah.
you're like running in a race
Right.
and you see the finish line, if you can see it with
Right.
your eyes, you're gonna go harder because you're almost there. But if you can't see it and then it starts to get
Yeah.
harder, you're gonna give up. So I try to like tell
Right.
people, envision that that's the finish line, so you can
Right.
push yourself to go harder, even if you don't
Right.
feel like it.
Absolutely. All right, Tyshon, where can people find you and connect with you and continue the conversation and find out about your course and your great services?
Yes, you can find me on Golden Admin across all platforms as far as
Mhm.
Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And on Instagram is Golden Admin LLC.
Okay.
Right now, I just launched my ebook today. It's called,
Nice.
yes, it's called, thank you.
Congratulations.
It's called
Ah,
Systems Over Chaos, where I put together 10 great tips to help mompreneurs just implement systems in their life to
what?
be able
That's
to
awesome.
systemize their like journey to reach their goals. Because
That's
it's
so
like,
cool. I love
thank
it.
you.
Nice.
And I don't know if I said it, but it's free. So just
That's
go to
awesome.
yes, if you go to my Instagram, I have the link in my bio right now to be able to do that. But yes, I would love to. I love talking to mompreneurs. So
Mhm.
if anyone just wants to come and chat just to ask questions.
Yeah.
I don't know if I spoke on it, but I also agree believe that joining a community, because so you mentioned about like someone who feels stuck, just find a
Yeah.
community to follow, even if you just
Right.
get on a like-minded individual subscription list.
Yep.
I highly recommend that to all
Right.
mompreneurs. Like just
Right. I mean,
no,
I love your social media feed. It
thank
inspires
you.
me. I see it
Yes.
and I'm like, yes, that's good because, I know we're still going on, but whatever. It's all good stuff.
Yes.
It's like so many mompreneurs now are online and it can be so lonely. And you're like, you mentioned a community, and that is so important because you can begin to feel like, am I the only one who thinks this? Am I crazy?
Yes, and it's so amazing to hear someone
Yeah.
else say the same things
Yeah.
that you was thinking. Like say
Hmm.
someone hear someone else ask that dumb question that you were too afraid to ask.
Right.
It's so amazing. And then like even when you see someone who, like if you look at their social media page, you think they have
Right.
it all figured out, and then you
Right.
join a community and now they're vulnerable. You're like, oh my gosh, they struggle just like me. Like
Right.
you see them as a person, and I absolutely love that. So
Right.
that's what I'm all about. I'm just really at this point, I'm trying to build my community. I want to show up as much as possible for the mompreneurs. So I understand that I
Yeah.
can't allow fear to hold me back of like,
Right.
oh, what they're gonna think when they see me. Like I want to know what they think when they see me. I
Yeah.
want them to see that okay, this is all me. So
Yeah.
I'm a talker. So if anyone does want to reach out, feel free
Nice.
to DM me. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Great. Yeah,
So
I love it. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation, and I think, it's got a wealth of information that's going to help other moms, inspire them in their business and realize the importance of having systems. And, there's a lot that we don't know, we don't know.
Yes.
So, so
Yes.
awesome. Thank you so much for being
Thank
on
you so
the
much for
podcast.
having me. I really enjoyed this.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How awesome was Tyshon Phillips? She is great. Thank you so much to Tyshon for your time and great conversation. And I have included all the links in the show notes to connect with Tyshon if you would like. And definitely check out her free ebook, Systems Over Chaos, by clicking her link on Instagram in her bio. It's awesome. I checked it out and I already love it. So thank you, Tyshon. And as I said in the beginning of the episode, that there were so many little takeaways that I wanted to go over at the end of the episode, just because I felt like after you listened all to that, to everything we talked about, you probably just wanted a little recap. So here is the recap. Number 1, systems help you thrive rather than just survive and get results. Number 2, listen to what your heart is telling you to do. What is your why and what do you want your life to look like? Think outside your surroundings. Number 3, create a system to get the results you want. Your why, your focus. Number 4, be crazy enough to follow your ideas. Number 5, find one other person who's doing what you're inspired to do to find evidence it can work. Number 6, don't take the advice of someone who's not in a place where you'd want to be. Number 7, learn how to make rational decisions in your business. Number 8, realize you can learn as much about business from someone who's doing it right as someone who's not doing it so well. Number 9, sometimes the best response is no response. Number 10, sometimes the hardest part is just getting started. Number 11, don't forget, as mothers, we can influence our children and change their own limiting beliefs. Number 12, not implementing systems can cost you. Control the day or it will control you. Number 13, set your goal and leave out the but. Create your plan, system, and set your intention to complete it. Number 14, stop operating out of chaos and living the life you don't want. Number 15, not implementing systems is committing to chaos. Number 16, a system is not going to give you control of everything, but a framework to adapt to constant changes in our lives and businesses. Number 17, if you have to pick something to believe in, why not believe in yourself and your goals and be dramatic about your goals? Number 18, things fall into place when you choose a goal and you choose to see evidence it's possible. The universe is listening. Trust in the possibilities of your goals. Number 19, don't overcomplicate things. Once you implement good systems, you can literally breathe easier and inhale more profits. Number 20, let go of the belief that work has to be hard. Once you hustle to create what works, then automate that to enjoy more profits. Number 21, systems are creating healthy habits around the life you want. 22, include your kids in your business and business planning. They will learn so much from it. 23, find a community of like-minded entrepreneurs. That was a lot of takeaways, and actually I could have listed more and I edited it down. I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you would like to reach out to me, I would love to hear from you. You can communicate with me on Instagram at angela.masciulli, MASCIULLI. Send me a DM. Let me know that you like the show. If you would like to collaborate, if you would like to be a guest on the show, please let me know. I'd love to connect. You can also please leave a review, as I mentioned earlier, on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, share the show, do all the things. You know the drill. Thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing holiday no matter what you celebrate. I hope you find some time to reflect on the coming year. And thank you so much for joining me for this episode. And I can't wait to talk to you again next week. This is Angela Masciulli for the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Bye.